Hello YouTube, this is my third GameCube portable worklog, and this time I'm going to talk about how I hooked up the battery and what battery I used. So as you can see, it's working fine, and this is all running off of the battery. You can follow it over to, this is where the fan used to be, so I'm going to turn it off and then show you. Alright, so let's start with the battery that I used. That is a Talent Cell battery that's 6 amp capacity, so it's able to, run for at least a few hours. It's a 12 volt because the motherboard that I used is the DOL101 model, which means that it can only run off of 12 volts. But if you're using an older model like 001, then you're able to make it run off of 7.4 volts, which means that your batteries, you can save space with batteries or be more efficient. So my Talent Cell batteries came in a box like this in case you wanted to see the actual specs on it. 12 volt, 6 amp, and the maximum charge and discharge current is 3 amps, which is important because if you get one that can only supply 1 amp to the GameCube at a time, your GameCube might not turn on. It could probably run off of 2, but definitely not 1 amp. So, one of the other reasons, hang on real fast. It needs to have something that has a overcharge protection and over discharge protection and short circuit protection. And if it doesn't have that, your batteries are going to die really fast. And I don't mean die temporarily, I mean that you're going to kill them. So this one has kind of a lump here, and underneath that is a circuit board that just basically protects the batteries from getting drained too much, because that can hurt them quite a bit, and they'll just stop charging really fast from what I hear. So I use lithium ion because those are, the most efficient to use in this case. So let's see. So this power thing and these are actually like part of the package that I got. Like they came with this, you can see right there, that's where the switch was and that's where the little plug was. And the reason that I didn't keep, I didn't install my own power switch was because this one actually disables the battery from everything else. And I've read that for some LCD screens, they will continue to draw battery even when they don't seem to be on. So just on the side of safety, so I'm not constantly draining my battery, just in case, I'm actually cutting the battery off whenever I turn it off, instead of having kind of like what the power button used to be over here with the fan, that whole assembly. If you turned the GameCube off with that little switch, the GameCube actually was still getting power, which I know because I've shocked myself a couple times. I mean, not like a real shock, but enough to know that there was electricity going through it. It didn't hurt or anything. You probably aren't going to be able to hurt yourself with anything on here. You'd need it to be a lot stronger to actually really feel it. Felt more like static. So this is the cable that came with my battery, and that's where you charge it, or you can plug it into there to charge it. So real fast, my charger, which is this, is able to output 1 amp. So that's not enough to power the GameCube by itself, or at least, let me explain. You plug it in here, and supposedly it's supposed to, charge and play, where it can charge your batteries at the same time it's supplying power to the GameCube. But it's probably splitting off into half an amp going here and half an amp going here, which isn't enough to turn your GameCube on, but it's enough to make it sort of flicker. It causes the speakers to make a annoying ticking sound and the lights flash. So probably not good for your GameCube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this little wire, sticking out of my GameCube, and you know, this little plug sticking out of my GameCube, so that when I need to charge it, I'm going to unplug the GameCube from this battery, and I'm going to plug in the charger directly into here, and that way I'm not causing any damage to my system. Let's see, what else? If you're getting lithium-ion batteries and you pulled them out of something like a laptop or you know, anything, you need to know if it has that circuit protection, that charge protection, and over discharge protection, because sometimes individual cells will have it built in, like, you know, this one might have it built in or it might not, and you don't really have a way of knowing. But I believe that if more than one cell has it built in and then they're hooked up together, they cancel each other out and it's no longer valid. So that's something to keep in mind. The safest bet is to go ahead and just order a pre-made battery pack. Okay, so also when wiring it up, what I did was I just got a little, what's it called, like a piggy tail plug or something like that. And you have to be really careful of the polarity. So do you see this where it says V plus and V minus next to these two red wires? So I know for a fact that the one that says V plus is correct because it powers my screen and it can power a fan. But if you're not sure, something you can do is you can take like a little 12-volt fan and just, you know, hold the wires up to it and turn your console on. And if the fan turns on, then you know which is which. And if it's backwards, then it won't turn on. So you need to know. It's really important because you don't want to fry your system. So you'll notice that on this wire, this big red wire, this went to the fan. And normally when you see a red wire and a black wire, the red wire is the positive and the black wire is the negative because it's always color-coded. But in the case of this GameCube and a lot of others from what I've read, they're a lot of times switched backwards. So you can see that this red wire goes in here and it comes up and it's actually negative. See where this is my color-coded wires that are actually right, and this is Nintendo's color-coded wires which aren't. So you got to be really careful of that. And let's see what else. Sometimes it seems that sometimes it is right, but sometimes it's not. So, you know, just be careful and use a fan or something, you know, 4 LEDs or something like that, where you can test a 12-volt thing or a multimeter if you've got one. So I think that's about it on my battery. Thanks for watching.